Hi, everybody.
Hi.
Welcome to Parlour Tea. I'm Genevieve.
I'm John.
And I'm Kristen.
We are so excited to have you with us.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
I'm going to sit back so I don't look like a vampire.
That's fine.
The lighting in here is not that great.
No, we're working on the lighting piece of it. But just so you know that Kristen was a part of our Dead of Winter series. And Kristen and I met at another store that we were part of in New Hope. And we just became instant friends.
Yes. Instantly.
And we've been friends. Absolutely. We became friends for years now. And I enjoy having conversations with her. And I hope that you guys get that vibe when she speaks. But we hit it off. And I was so excited that I had the opportunity to meet with Genevieve and introduce her to this kind of situation as well. So Kristen, why don't you tell people what kinds of things that you do, what you offer, and then on the bottom of the screen we will put her website on the bottom so you guys relate. You can reach out to her.
Thank you. So my name is Kristen Ramezanna. I am the owner of the Underworld Queen Collective, and I help people fully own their darkness by diving deep into their shadow, which is the unconscious mind. So I want to break down a little bit about what the shadow is for anyone listening. Shadow work has become a huge buzzword in the spiritual space over the past couple of years, which is amazing, but there's a lot of questions around what that actually is and what that entails. And so the shadow is the unconscious mind. It's the biggest part of our psyche, and it is very hard to access, yet it drives everything that we do. So our conscious mind is only roughly 5% of our brain, and those are the things that we are fully aware of. We know what we chose to wear and what we chose to eat today. We know certain things about ourselves with absolute certainty. Beneath that, we have the subconscious. This is where our limiting beliefs are stored. These are the things that we can do on autopilot. And this is typically where we start to scratch the surface on some of those things with journal prompts. Beneath that, then we have the unconscious, which is the shadow, and that's the depth of our psyche. And so by going into the shadow, that is where we unlock our gifts. That is where we unlock the most authentic, powerful parts of ourselves that have been repressed for lifetimes. And that's also where we can unlock and move through our traumas, our fears, past life stuff, and everything in between. So my work largely entails taking people into the shadow so that they can uncover their truth, their purpose, and really find themselves in the depths of their darkness.
I love it. How did you get started with this?
I love that question because I felt super lost for such a long time, like most people. And so when I feel like when people see like the finished product of something like a brand or whatever, it's really easy. It's easy to think that that person's always been that way. Wrong. And so when people go to my site now or my Instagram, like one of the first things that people say, whether they're excited or terrified, I can feel the authenticity. And I'm like, thank you, because I had to work so hard to feel safe showing that to the world. Like talking about taboo shit on the internet, like demons and all this stuff. It was very scary. And there was a version of me that was terrified to even throw the word witch into my Instagram bio. Like one day I freaked out and then I threw it up there and I was like, all right, maybe no one will notice. And then I wondered why I couldn't grow a business because I was hiding, you know? And so I felt so stuck for such a long time. I was investing in business coaches and masterminds and all this stuff, trying to make safe things work. I actually started off in the fitness industry and spent the first decade of being an entrepreneur in that space. And I was so burnt out and to the point where I hated it. And I'm like, I feel like spirituality has been calling to me my whole life, but I couldn't figure out what I was supposed to do with it. Couldn't figure out why there was such a block. Ended up connecting with my guides. I had a massive spiritual awakening. My entire life essentially was ripped from me in 2020. Everything just goes up in flames. And I was like, this is time to pivot. And so I'd been working on spiritual development for such a long time. And I was like, this is my chance to bring it to the forefront, but I couldn't figure out why there was so much fear and so many blocks. And so then I uncovered shadow work, and I truly believe that things find us when we're ready. So I was listening to a random podcast. Someone talked about shadow work, and I was like making my soul like feel a certain way. And then I was like doing research, found a book, shadow work, started reading it. And it was like this like insatiable desire to keep learning. So I ended up finding a mentor, diving into that. And that's what just ripped this world wide open for me, because there's so much that we are largely unaware of. And so when I started diving into the shadow, I was uncovering my blockages. It was what deep witch wounding. It was fear of being seen as being different, being triggering, being taboo, etc. And so when I started to move through my shadow, I found past life trauma and witch wounding and all kinds of things, and liberating myself from that has allowed me to show up so freely and so authentically. And that is why I do the work that I do, because like I walked right through the fire that I lead other people through.
Well, that's great. And I think it really resonates with me too when you talk about being authentic. And because I think we do that here, we have, there's like a fine line between showing off like all of the stuff, like everything that we have here artistically is part of our souls.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
We have that
how
on
we
display.
originally started it.
Yeah.
And
people are like, I don't know if I like it. And then you get a little offended, like it hurts. If
yeah,
you don't
it
like
does.
It.
It's like a personal, attack on something that you did, but it really
is.
isn't.
Let it go. We
Right.
have to let it
Yeah.
go. And like to actually grow the business, you have to be real. You
Right.
have to. So that really clicks with me. So I appreciate you saying that.
So as we and Genevieve go through this journey together, which ended up opening up the door to Dead of Winter, a lot of the drive that we do put together are personal experiences that we have or what we want to,
how we want to grow,
how we want to
and
to
we're
do
taking everyone
things.
with us.
And as soon as we thought of this, we thought like, with you being a part of it, because your work, I think, is perfect for people not to just like clean out things and clean out a drawer, clean out a closet and feel good about it. Just think about that. You feel so amazing when you do the cleaning of your house and you
physical
doing it. But there's also a lot of mental kind of cleaning that you need to do.
A lot of clutter that we collect.
Right. You collect over time and you have from past lives. There's a lot of that. Either you believe in past lives or you don't. But the thought that there is an idea or you think that's great to learn, it really is a great journey. Like I had said many times, and I do feel that this is great. And I like that. Everybody's journey starts off the same. It's just the path that you follow is different based off of what you need. So I understand that. And the more that I get a chance to like be a part of like someone like you and get to know you more and understand and know Genevieve more, and what we feel is really a great thing to do was definitely you were a part of that. Like the ending of a journey that I really thought it was
small
really
little
good.
Part of the journey just this month.
Right. It's a small thing. But I just felt like people might be intrigued with some of this stuff. And I think that in a setting such as this, because some of the classes that we've offered this month, yours is one of them, I don't think a lot of people were expecting something like that. It's not out of the norm.
I think that because we focused on Dead of Winter and we focused on, that retreat into yourself a little bit more, that's a little, you get a lot out of that.
It's confronting though. We're conditioned as a society to run from ourselves.
Yeah.
And to fill voids and to chase things and to eternally seek. So sitting with yourself, and not only sitting, but then going in deeper, is actually wildly confronting for people.
I thought it was amazing.
Yeah.
I thought so too. I thought that there was a lot of ahas, and that, I mean, it was great to see. I mean, you're a little bit away from us, and the people that are here are a lot of newbies. But there really are a great group that we have had the ability to come into the store and get to know them, which is really very nice.
It's nice to see people take a journey and be part of it and help them along with it. It's really cool.
It's so sacred because my work, as I have people who end up staying with me for a long time, and because I think that people will approach the shadow with one of two reasons. They either want something urgently fixed yesterday and they want to do it in as little time as possible, which like efficiency is great. But I always say like 1 or 2 shadow work sessions is not going to transform your entire life, because the shadow is so big. It's so massive. There's so much in there that I always recommend people lean into it. Like it's the journey that it actually is. It's not a quick fix solution. However, it does shift things very quickly. On the flip side, I'll have people that understand that and they dive in and they want to keep going. And it's so fascinating to be able to walk with people as they grow and as they evolve and they step more deeply into themselves, because we have the the discovery portion, we're diving into the shadow, we're uncovering the traumas, or we're releasing the energetic burdens, we're rewiring how things are stored, we're uncovering our power and our truth. Like, it's so incredible. And then we also have the integration portion. This is like where we take action on the things that we're trying to change. This is where we actually start to cultivate the change that we seek in our life. And so being able to be with someone as they dive into the shadow and then integrate, dive into the shadow and integrate, like, that's how we really transform our lives. And it is just, it's so special to be with people throughout that process.
It is. That's amazing.
I mean, I think you would agree. Healing is a process.
Oh, yeah.
And you could go and buy a beautiful piece of jewelry or a beautiful sweater or a beautiful dress
Right here.
at the parlor. I'm not going to say, but I think that healing is definitely a process. And I think that a lot of people are spiritually trying to find their inner self, and you know, things don't buy happiness. I mean, of course they can, but
like, wait, John.
Wait, John,
What did you just
I
say?
know.
on video just said that.
But think about this, everyone. I mean, think about it. You buy something and this is great for 5 minutes, and that thrill is gone.
It's gone.
Yeah.
So, and take your chance and find and discover and do for you. And that's what really shadow work is discovering. And you had said during the thing, which is sort of, it's exciting, and it's sort of like, I get jealous when people have that opportunity, like that moment. It's like,
You'll get there.
do you like that divine, the divine, that really feeling that you connected to yourself, your heart, your mind, your soul, that feeling of euphoria in a way? And I think a lot of people in life have changed during that COVID piece that has really escalated this to this level that I can't go through again. I need this
Or
type
just
of thing.
the fact that everything stopped during that time period, and you were sort of forced to be still, and to when you're still and you're quiet, that's when you hear all of the things that you need or that you want to work on.
Yeah.
And that's the shift. But I think that's one of the main goals of most of our classes here, really, is to help people find their path to themselves and their spirituality and their focus. And the experiences that we had today were so profound and so moving that it's just such it is a gift. That's it. That's the best thing. It's the best gift you can give yourself, is to take these types of classes and do this kind of work.
But I think you would agree with this. I don't think shadow work is witchy. Like, I think shadow work
self-care.
As a whole is a self-care. It's a helping you're guiding you to a better you. And I agree. I think you would agree with that.
Yeah,
piece.
I mean, shadow work was founded as a psychological tool. It didn't start as a spiritual tool. Psychology and spirituality obviously have an immense crossover, but there are people who do shadow work who don't even do it from a spiritual practice. You don't have to excavate past lives and connect with guides. You can go into your shadow just from this life stuff alone and work with your inner child, heal repressed childhood emotions, which drastically shifts how you show up in the world when you're releasing things that are repressed, or the masks that you've been conditioned to wear from this life alone. But if you want to take a spiritual perspective like we did today, we can go to the underworld, we can work with various guides, we can go to past lives, we can heal ancestral wounds. Like, there's so many things that we can do in the shadow. There's no end to the things that you can explore.
There was something just really interesting for me, because I'm a compassion fatigue educator, and a lot of the things that you were saying, I'm like, I don't know if you saw me, I'm like nodding my head through the whole thing. I'm like, yes, these are the things that we're taught as compassion fatigue.
But the reason why I ended up telling my therapist, shocking, I have a therapist. I told her about this, and she doesn't disagree with like the spiritual witchy side. She gets it, but she wholeheartedly believed that shadow work is an impressive way to deal with your inner child, to go back to a point, to try to heal, and to bring up things, to discuss things.
We talked about it too last night, because it's the new moon for the month, And rather than we focus on setting intentions for each of the new moons, but this time we sort of focused on clearing out all of the things that may be blocking you from accepting the manifestation of your intentions. Because if you don't clear the path, you're just going to continue to layer things on, or you may not even be able to accept the blessings that are around you.
Right. I don't think
it was really nice to do that and then go into this today.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I mean, I think that you would say, like, because of the stagnancy of things, and that might not even be a word, but I just made it up, whatever. But people's lives become that way. And I think that we aren't seeing things that could be clearly in front of us because we're so festering on things that are either really not there or are there or old, and we're not really allowing that to breathe and let things really go. And this isn't just like silly little tiny things. These are some forms of
changing, massive experiences.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, like we talked about in the workshop today, the brain, body, and nervous system view what is safe solely off of what's predictable. And so we think consciously that we want the manifestation. We think we want the love, the money, the vacation, the whatever, the business. But our shadow can find a million reasons why we don't, because it's unpredictable. We can't see the path, even though we know the path that we're on is hurting us, causing us pain, killing us inside. Our brain's like, but we can see the way forward. We can predict the steps. So therefore that is safe. And so when we want something new that we've never experienced, our shadow creates a lot of resistance. And then on top of that, if we've had current life experiences that have proved it's not safe to have the thing, and past life experiences that have proved oftentimes more violently that it's not safe to have the thing, our shadow's like, no, we're not receiving this. And then people are like, I can't manifest, but it's like, you can, you just have to find out what's pushing it away. Because for everything we want, there's a part of you that doesn't want it just as badly.
Don't you find it really very interesting? Because how this all started with us was that, oh, I'm on which TikTok kind of thing. And I'm like, do you know? And she's like, hello. Which started our New Moon Academy. But everyone, like, doesn't matter who they are anymore, have been saying, I manifested this. And it's like it's
the
so
buzzword of the century.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
But it's that old, but manifestation's great. It's a great way to utilize and say those types of things.
But what does manifestation actually mean?
It's a positive.
That's a whole workshop right there.
Right. But it's promoting positivity into your life and not worry about the small stuff and really forward to a better environment, a better life. And positivity is a big key to the manifestation of things.
But being willing to accept the positivity in your life is a whole other skill set that I think people often overlook. And it goes back to what you were saying with how the blocks to manifesting. Sometimes it's ourselves.
Yeah.
Do you feel that do you feel that the culture has changed that whole perception of stuff, that people are so blinded to see the blessings because of how fast-paced and things are?
Yeah, we're conditioned. We live in a microwave society. We're conditioned to want everything yesterday. And while there's nothing wrong with that, I think it sells us on this idea that manifestation is like snap your fingers and it's on your doorstep in 3 to 5 business days, when in reality it's not. If it's something big, like if we're cultivating like a deep, long-lasting soulmate relationship, we're trying to call that in. That person, you might meet them somewhere, you might have manifested that interaction, but you still have to lay the groundwork to have the emotional intimacy and to become who you need to be to have that kind of dynamic, to receive the love, to have healthy communication, to have the hard conversations. Same thing with a business. Okay, we can have a business idea, but then like, how do we execute that? And so that's where our shadow will screw
bring
us.
Rick involved. That's how we do
it.
Right.
But that's where our shadow will screw us, because if we don't have the identity that's appropriate, if we don't feel like we're good enough, if we have imposter syndrome, if we have money wounds, like all this stuff will get in the way of us executing these things. And so I feel like the toxic aspect of the kind of like wounded love and light community with manifestation is just kind of like, you smack it on a vision board and then you have it. Like, no, most of the time it's having the unwavering belief in yourself that you can have what you want, because you believe that you're the creator of your reality, but also being willing to do the work that it takes. Building this. You didn't snap your fingers and wake up one day and be like, whoa, this just appeared.
No,
like,
we did not.
But that's so funny that you bring that up. It's like that book, The Secret, the vision board, manifestation. It's really very funny is that a lot of these things and words and techniques were so, like, I guess, tainted in that witchy kind of thing, and everybody stays away from it. They're like,
Not anymore.
I love the fact that people are understanding that there is black, there is white, there is gray, but it's in every facet of everything. And just because it has an attachment of something witchy kind of thing doesn't mean it's bad. It's how you practice it or how you think
it's
it.
The word witch itself, it's still, to some people, makes them kind of
right. But I love how
when
everybody's incorporating these things.
Well, yeah, now it's like
that
now
is
it's
changing
becoming
the conversation.
thing.
Yeah.
It's changing
absolutely
conversation.
But I even find myself sometimes when we talk about like New Moon Academy, I'm like, which witch are you? Is like the sort of our tagline.
Right.
But I sort of like veer off and I'm like, so it's really about finding and connecting to your spirituality, because I feel like I have to like
right. But I think a lot of these
make that
younger
connection for people, you know?
Yeah.
Don't you think the younger generation is a little bit more accepting of these types of things?
Generation.
Well, I know we're dating ourselves, but I'm just saying,
You're
like,
dating yourself.
some of the like some of the words and the way that they're embracing things, you know, I think that besides the fact that we need to stop and look at ourselves, I think that we need to stop and look at the generation that's here. I think that they're more empathetic, and there are changes that we didn't get a chance
definitely.
to see, like all of these arguing and fighting. I think that when the generation becomes time that they're here and we're gone, I think that they don't care about genders, names, and things, the labels of stuff. I think they just want to be. They just want to be, and I don't think that's a bad thing. But
I think it's a great thing.
There is change, but we're so focused in the garbage that we're not really looking at that change that is really there. And I think we need to look at that too, as a whole.
Well, right. And so that's the thing, is like when we look at trying to change the world, oftentimes people will look at the world and the collective, when in reality, then sometimes we outsource our responsibility on ourselves, because in order to change the world, everyone has to be doing their part. And so I also believe if everyone was diving into their shadow or connecting with themselves and in whatever way was feeling aligned, that's how we would shift the world.
Yes.
And so, because we all focus on the big picture, sometimes at the point of self-betrayal or that like martyrdom, that wounded light of like, I want to save everybody else, but it's like you're drowning in yourself then. Yes. And so if everyone were to go inwards, because like we talked about in the workshop also, our shadows, our individual shadows have this like network. We have a shared consciousness. So we have a collective unconscious. If everyone were to be diving into their shadow, the world would drastically shift very, very quickly. And that is how we create the change, by diving into ourselves. But we're conditioned to view that as selfish, gluttonous, to take time for yourself. What's interesting is when I start working with clients and they're coming to my programs and they have the resources in my programs and they're like sitting down to do them. They're like, oh my God, I felt so gluttonous to shut my phone off and do a meditation. And I was like, well, if that felt gluttonous, imagine what it would feel like to have the house that you want, or the apartment, or the car, or the love, or the whatever.
And that's why you're not manifesting
gluttonous for you to take 15 minutes to yourself. Imagine how awful it's going to feel right now, because you're conditioned to self-betray and hustle and like run yourself into the ground to achieve little bits of things that you think are going to make you happy. And that's how we get hooked into this matrix system of chasing, ending up nowhere, or at least not anywhere we want to be.
Yeah. I mean, do you really think about the way that they used to say certain things back then? I think it's kind of funny that as you get older, you really believe that those things were said. Like, you know, you can't do it. You can't love anybody else if you don't love yourself, or you can't change anything if you can't change yourself. Like these types of things and kind of little snippets from back then really resonate. Like you said, I think that if we change our own selves and think differently and help our inner self, the world would shift in a direction that would be positive for the whole world. And I think it takes one person to start these types of things.
There's pockets.
I believe
There's
there
definitely
is.
pockets,
Yeah,
and the pockets are
definitely.
getting bigger. It's almost
They
like
are.
it passes on. Everybody that came to the workshop today is going to now continue on this path,
Yeah.
and they're going to impact other people. And that's one of the things that I absolutely love about doing classes here.
It's
The
great.
connections
Yes.
and the ripple effect.
Yes,
But
Because I
you're-
think so many people think they're not powerful, but they are.
they are.
Them just walking their path, the ripple that creates
Yeah.
for everyone in their life is huge.
And when you live in and you're functioning in a space where you're fulfilling your true will and your purpose, that's when we're happiness. That's happiness right there.
I think it's great. I really thought you did an amazing job.
Thank you.
So let's just tell everybody where they can find you and what you offer.
Yes.
Yeah.
What do you?
Yeah. So my website is down below. It's just my name, KristenRamezanna.com. I am on Instagram as the Underworld Queen.
Your Instagrams are so fun. They're so informative and they're so cool.
I have so much fun with Instagram.
And
I
you're
have
so
so much fun with my branding. I am known as the Underworld Queen over there with an underscore between like each of the words. So the Underworld Queen on Instagram. And a lot of my work is heavily shadow work focused. So whether you need to clear your energy from an attachment, whether you want to do passive healing, whether you want to uncover your soul purpose or heal your witch wound or whatever the case may be. I have group programs, I have memberships, I do single sessions. We have so much fun over there because there's so much that, again, lies in the shadow, whether you want to heal trauma, whether you want to just meet yourself more deeply. The process of going into the shadow can be used to uncover spiritual gifts, uncover your soul purpose, heal trauma. Like there's so many things that you can do. And it is just so sacred for me to be leading people through this journey.
I have a quick question on that too.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're doing this is what you do.
Mm-hmm.
How do you separate the experiences that your clients and your students have with yours?
Oh,
Like,
meaning
how do you like how do you
energetically?
how do you sort of like keep yourself in a good headspace while you're working with some of these really deep situations?
So I think it really just comes down to how we live our life. Like it, because I think a lot of times when people view themselves as highly empathic, etc., like yes, you're sensitive, and also sometimes you have poor boundaries, meaning like, you know, we're taking on other people's stuff because unconsciously we feel like it's our job to. Being a healer or a coach or a leader doesn't mean dragging people down their path or rescuing them. It means holding a light to their own power. I am not responsible for someone else's healing. I'm walking with them on that journey. So like embodying that belief, but also having the self-care, like getting enough sleep, having your own spiritual practice, like working out and eating healthy, like all these things are a huge part of my life so that my life force energy is at a place where I can hold massive space for huge group programs, etc. So it's what you do day in and day out. That's huge. And one of the first things I see with people who step into this work is they drop their own spiritual practice and their own spiritual hygiene. If you're not clearing yourself, if you're not connecting with your guides, if you don't have fun time in the astral, does that do magical shit, you're not going to be inspired to hold that space. And so it's really how you live your life. And so unfortunately last year I went through a brutal psychic attack situation with an ex-mentor. It was one of the most traumatizing spiritual experiences I've ever had, but it taught me so much. I had to step up my protection and my spiritual hygiene immensely. And what that did was it allowed me to hold more, had a massive capacity to hold space for more and more people. So it was no accident that a few months after that, I had the most successful launch of my entire life and created one of the most amazing programs I've ever created because I had no choice but to prioritize my mental health. Because for anyone who's never been psychically attacked, it's horrific. You have panic attacks, you have severe paranoia, entities, and all this shit is coming at you like crazy. So you have to double down on the self-care. And so that completely transformed the way I was taking care of myself and really took everything to the next level. And so I think people are kind of looking for that quick fix. And how do I feel better when I'm leading people through heavy stuff? Because I have clients who move through insane traumas, whether it's repressed traumas from this life, past life traumas, and you have to be that sturdy support. Like we can't collapse when we're leading people through that. And it really depends on how well you take care of yourself and also doing your own shadow work. Like I firmly believe as a shadow work practitioner, my limitations come in where my shadow would potentially take the driver's seat. If I get triggered by someone else's trauma, then the whole thing collapses. And so I do so much shadow work to ensure that I can stay neutral and be that safe space holder for the people in my life. And I think that's one of the mistakes people make. They don't do shadow work or they don't do a lot. And then they project a lot onto their clients or they project fear. People will come to me and be like, oh, my last spiritual mentor told me that demons are evil or this or that, or Hades is bad. And I'm just like, these people are polluting someone else's experience. Yes. You know what I mean?
So before we go, wanted to thank you very much for the class.
This is amazing.
It was really very inspiring. It was very rejuvenating. It was very insightful. If you have anything, reach out to Kristen. I think that you could listen to her talk
For
all
hours.
day,
We're
which
gonna
is
keep her
great.
here for more.
Which is great.
hours.
And like I said, I adore her. We adore her.
Absolutely.
I think that she is definitely someone that would add value to your life, if you are open to those types of things. Do you have anything up and coming, like that you want to promote?
Yeah, so I actually just launched a brand new program last week. It's a program all around power wounding and stepping into your power. Because again, that's a phrase that's been a big buzzword,
Yes.
and people are severely misguided around what that means. Like, you do not step into your power by making a vision board or repeating an affirmation. You step into your power by going into your shadow and excavating all of the parts of you that are at war with your own power, that feel like you have to give it away to other people, that feel terribly unsafe being in your power, and everything in between. So we're actually diving really, really deep into that because, again, I firmly believe if everyone were to heal their relationship with their own power and reclaim their own power, that is how we change the world. We do not create change by resenting power. It just keeps it in the hand of the corrupt. We do not create change while being highly disempowered, and we don't create change by being manipulated and deceived out of our power. So that's my
amazing.
newest offering, and
that's on your website.
It's on my website.
Excellent.
Yes.
Excellent.
I know anything else that might be in the works that you want to share? Anything, or you're good?
I haven't made an announcement on the next thing yet, so I'll keep that as a surprise. But just
We'll have you
motivation
back.
to follow me, because then you will be the first.
Absolutely.
You'll be the first to know when I announce it.
Absolutely. Like I said, life's a journey, and if you have great people surrounding you, I think that it's a journey well taken, because it's for yourself.
Yes.
So, thank you very much, Kristen.
Thank you
We
so
know we
much.
love you.
This was
Oh, at least
such a great day.
I
Thank
I
you.
adore you. So
I love
Um,
you.
Insinuating that I don't? Is that what he just did? Is that what he just did?
Yes,
I love
that was
you
a
both
jab.
so much.
it was a jab. So I appreciate this. Thank you very much for stopping by. Reach out to Kristen. Come visit us at the parlor. Until next time.
Thank you for joining us on Parlour Tea.
Bye.